And we have Eric from I Prevail joining us today to talk about the new record, A Violent Nature. This record is a really cool record. It runs the gamut from like super heavy to super melodic and atmospheric. There's a little bit of a roller coaster ride in there for everybody. That's what I think is really cool about this record. So
Well, yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
well, the past year has been a little bit chaotic for I Prevail. Does it feel like this is like sort of a new beginning or a new chapter for you guys as you release this record?
Yeah. I mean, every record, every couple records, it feels like a new era or a new, not a restart, but a new, yeah, just a new era from our EP to Lifelines. Then it kind of felt that way with Trauma to True Power, and this was kind of before anything happened. The idea was to, how can we not rebrand per se, but what's the new era, the next record or two or even three look like? And yeah, with that, all things considered, this is definitely, it feels like the beginning of a new era.
I feel like you guys are sort of coming out swinging to a certain extent. Is there like a motivation to sort of I guess prove doubters wrong and like and let them know that I Prevail is here to stay sort of thing and more vibrant than ever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like our story's always been that bit of an underdog story. Starting from the beginning, having a cover and a self done EP to our first record, and it wasn't until like earlier, our Trauma and True Power really. I feel like people start going like, oh, okay, yeah, they're gonna be a band that's gonna be, around for a while or playing that midday festival slot or whatever, and just the last couple years, it just we could start feeling the growth internally with opportunities that we had up on the horizon, and with just you name it, all these different things that were coming up for us, and whether or not it was seen outwardly, uh internally we knew like, okay, there's this opportunity and this tour, and all these different great things happen, and that now more than ever, putting this record out with everything going on, it just feels very like anyone that's had any doubt that we weren't going to be sticking around. I feel like this record is just a middle finger in your face.
Is that kind of weird for you because you guys are 10 years into your career that you're still having to sort of fight misconceptions about who I Prevail are?
I think I think any band that's trying to be like, we're we write what we love, we do what we love, but we want to be a band that plays for another 20 years and not just playing little pubs and clubs. We want to take this as far as possible. So I think any band with that mindset is always going to have a group of people out there going, oh, scoffing at anything they do. So, look, I mean, look at Nickelback. Nickelback's one of the biggest rock bands in the world, and it's so easy and fun, or whatever adjective you want to use, to hate on that band, but they still keep getting bigger somehow. So, yeah, 10 years in, it's crazy to think that it's been 10 years, but it's I think that's I think it's kind of good that it feels crazy and it feels not real that it's been 10 years, because we still have that. I still feel that youthful energy of like still wanting to prove people wrong, still want to write, big songs that can take the band even further, and songs that mean something, that connect with people, and that's the most important thing. So yeah, just to answer your question, I do think that it if you're grinding to be successful and to keep growing, there's always going to be someone out there that's like, trying to push you down, or write off what you've been doing.
And to use that Nickelback as an example, but like, growing up as a kid in Canada, like, nobody saw them grinding it out in, every dirt dive bar across Canada playing to 50 people. It was just like, like it felt like an overnight success, but they've been doing it for years at that point in Canada. So, and I think that struggle sort of makes you appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's funny to see there's a few other bands that I've been, younger bands or newer bands that I've been keeping an eye on and excited to see what they do. But it's so funny to see people go up industry plant. It's like you have no clue. First, I don't even know if you know how to spell industry plant. That's how dumb you seem. But it's you don't know all the hard work behind the scenes, writing the music, planning the tours, getting the merch lined up, from that to just the social media presence, the getting all your ducks in a row, getting everything set up and ready to go. You have the typical person. I just don't think, and I won't say that the people that talk the most shit have no idea the hard work that goes behind the scenes. And just because they're not outwardly whining and complaining about like, oh, I've been doing this and I'm grinding and it's so tough and it's so hard, maybe because they're, instead of wasting their time complaining about how difficult it is, they just put their nose to the grindstone and been working. So when these bands get that opportunity, like you say with Nickelback, or even some of these younger bands that have been grinding quietly in the shadows, and then they get a moment, and it's so easy for a nobody to go, oh, well, they're just an industry plant. Oh, look at that. They get this opportunity. They don't deserve it. You there's just too much hate, too much ignorance in the world, man.
Is it hard not to get sucked into into the online trolls at times when they clearly don't know the behind the scenes stuff, and it's like there's like you want to defend yourself, but at the same time you're just feeding into more of that negativity.
Yeah, I mean, definitely early on, it was very hard to, because like we were just a bunch of young kids, young adults that were just like had no idea what we were getting into, and then things took off, and you go from, you got the small circle of friends, and you got your family, and that's really all you know, to now you have what feels like the whole world giving their opinions on everything you do, everything you post, everything you say. And back then it was easy to get sucked into it and see someone's negative comment or hateful comment and go, oh, well, they don't know, and oh, that really affects me, and oh, and all these things. And now it's like, I just remind myself, it's like, you know who I am, and I don't know who the fuck you are, and it's always gonna be that way. So say what you want. It's not gonna affect me. I'm gonna keep grinding and keep doing what I love. And if you love bitching on the internet, then keep doing it. It ain't affecting me.
And for that one guy bitching on the internet, there's probably 99 that loved it and just they either gave it a thumbs up or
It,
just didn't give you a comment. So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So was writing a Violent Nature like a healing process for you guys in a certain extent with all the drama that happened over the past year?
Um, yeah, yeah. I feel like every record has been rooted in some form of catharsis or healing, and this one was no different. um it, it's yeah, yeah, it's definitely a personal record for me and the guys, as is every record we've put out. But yeah, this is the first time we started writing on the road, and started writing demos, and most of them didn't turn out to anything, but just being able to flex that muscle creatively on the road. And then when we sat down to work on this after, after everything we knew what was the future was going to hold, it was like, okay, well, now we have something to prove. I feel like I have something to prove. I feel like everyone had that little fire burning inside them. So getting into the studio, it was a great feeling. I mean, had some time off, and we were going 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, just grinding, 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 and then taking a couple weeks off, and then getting back into it. And it was, yeah, very cathartic to get in there and to be able to put your mind onto something specific for 8 hours a day and just give it your all. It was, I definitely needed that after the last couple years.
So getting into the record a little bit, you produced this record in-house with John.
Mhm.
Did it allow you a little bit more creative control, and how did that shape the sound compared to working with outside producers?
Mm. Yeah, I think so we've worked with John in the past a little bit here and there. He did a couple songs on Trauma, a couple songs on True Power. And this time around, before we started working on the record, We didn't have a bassist for a while, and we after working with him on True Power, we were like, hey, let's bring John along, and we can have a bassist on the road, and then maybe we can start working with him on the road. But he's such an awesome dude, awesome guy, awesome producer. He's just all around an incredible human. And yeah, to bring him on the road and play these songs that he helped us write, and he could see the moments, the live moments that really stood out for us, and feel the songs being played live and seeing which moments really stood out, and things that we didn't know, like, oh, okay, people are, crowd surfing, or they're the wall of death, or whatever it may be at this moment. So when we went back into writing the studio, to have someone that was up on stage with us, living those songs and living those moments, and he's been in bands before, but he's not nothing of this nature or caliber. So getting back in the studio and being able to picture, like, okay, we play a festival to 10,000 people, what's the dopest moment we could create in this song, or what's the most earwormy or lyric that the whole crowd's going to scream back every time, and to have that mentality in the writing was huge. And I feel like it unlocked a few, because in the past we've never really thought about the live show. When we wrote, we just wrote, what's the best thing that we can write sonically, like what's going to sound amazing on a record, and then live will play them. And this time around we had a little more foresight of, I would love to write a song that's going to be circle pit, circle pit, circle pit the whole time, or I want to write, I want to have a moment in this set where I don't even have, after a couple shows, I never have to perform the line. I can just hold the mic out, and Violent Nature became that. Like I don't know if I ever have to perform that first, Violent Nature line ever again after playing it the first of these last couple months. But to have John in the mix like that, it's huge to be able to grow and write in a little bit different of a way.
And coming out with Violent Nature first, like for me, that was a genius move, because it was like, it set the tone for everything, right? It's like you come out pissed out, pissed off, swinging, and it sets a tone for the rest of the record.
Thank you. Yeah, I in the past we've always released similar. We do a pretty heavy one and then follow up with like a melodic one, and this time was no different. But I think with the news of everything happening, I think people made up their minds and thought they knew the direction the band was going. So we were like, all right, we'll give it to you. We'll give you something really heavy, and then pull the rug out from under you with the next song. But Violent Nature was definitely, I think, once we kind of got the track list and we knew these are the 10 songs that are going to make the record, half of them weren't even done yet. They were like halfway along or had little holes or pieces missing. But we knew Violent Nature right off the rip. That was going to be a single. It was undoubtable. It was like, it's a song where you just turn your brain off and run through a brick wall. It's that kind of that kind of heavy and energy that we were chasing, and we were like, this will probably shake up the fan base as much as possible.
That's dope. This is the first album that you're handling all the lead vocals. How did stepping into that role sort of, how did it change the way you approached how you wanted to record the record and write the record?
Um, I wouldn't say it changed the approach, but in the past, the past records, I've sang a little bit here and there, or was doing the harmonies or something. But the approach was the same. We've written, the way we wrote this record was very similar to the way we've written every other I Prevail song in the past. The difference was going into the big choruses was like, I've never recorded and just sang a big chorus like these ones. So the first one that we worked on was Rain, actually, and I remember going in there. Me and Steve and John had this melody. We created the music bed and had a rough idea for a melody with a couple, just fill in the blank words, and we knew there was a couple lines that we really liked. So it was like, all right, well, hop in there. Let's just see where your range is, and let's. It was all just, wow, where's my voice? Like I'm gonna find my voice on this, and to hop in that booth and just go for it. Um, it was a, it's a little. A little nerve wracking, but to know that I had the guys behind my back in just on the other side of the curtain of the vocal booth, knowing that even if I hit like a flat note or I just didn't, I was straining my voice or if just wasn't in the right range or whatever it was, I was going to step out and that they were going to be there just going, hey, it's all good. That part sounded sick. Let's focus on that. Or hey, give it another shot. You'll figure it out. Like to have, um, for lack of a better term, the guys like cheer me on, it gave me the confidence to just go in there and swing away. And I think that's a huge part of singing. That's definitely what I've learned over the years is just having the confidence to go up there and just full send.
So building that confidence in yourself as a front man, really.
Yes, absolutely. And doing live, doing half or more of the songs, it's like, okay, I know I can do that part. Now it's how do I do the other 40%, let's say, and having the guys behind me, just rooting me on was clutch.
So looking back at trauma and true power, what lessons or experiences did you bring into violent nature that you might not have had earlier in your career?
Mm. Oh, that's good. That's good. I specifically for violent nature, we wanted to push the heavy a little heavier. And something we've learned over the last couple records was that when we do heavy, we do it well, but we do it in our way. And we have a couple songs on this record that are very heavy, from Violent Nature, and there's two other ones I'd say are arguably just as heavy or heavier. But to make sure that those songs didn't step on the other songs' toes, like make sure that these songs aren't just chugging breakdowns and sound just like the other song, and how do we really make each of these songs dynamic and be able to stand on their own. And if you're listening through the track, listening through the record, and you're not going to go, oh, is this that song or was it this one, and that goes for the other songs too. In the past, Trauma and Lifeline specifically, I think we had like 14 songs on each record. And that was because we wrote all these demos, and then when we got time to like crunch time to like, all right, let's finish these songs, no more writing new demos, we're just gonna take these to the finish line. I look back and I'm like, oh, man, I feel like this song kind of stepped on the toes of this song, or this song might have been better, but we made decisions to make it, so the decisions we made to make this song reach the finish line kind of made our decision making on this song a little more muddier. Like we were like, well, we did that in that song, so we can't really do it in this song. When in reality, we probably should have just cut that one song or that two songs, just so those songs, the best ones, could shine. And then rework those songs or save the choruses or do something with them. But so with this time around, we were like, all right, we got done writing the demos. We got about 10 or 11 done. And then we honed in on these are the 10 best songs. These are the ones that are going to make the record. And we don't need any more filler or no fat on the record. It's very concise, very precise on which songs we chose, and each song has its own flavor, I feel like. So it was definitely something huge that we learned from the last few records.
And I think as an artist, you're generally most excited about whatever you're working on because you're sort of living in that moment, right? So when
Absolutely.
yeah, when you're living in that moment, it's hard to be sort of objective about it because you're so attached to it. But allowing things time to breathe is like an important part of the creative process.
Absolutely. I mean, there's two or three, half songs or demos that we started for this record that I look back and I get the chorus is still stuck in my head. So I'm like, oh man, there's something to dig at on that track, but it just didn't feel like it fit the record, or it just didn't feel like it was cohesive with the other, 9, 10 songs. So let's just put it on the back burner for now, and if we feel a calling to it later, we'll dig into it. But right in that moment, I remember there was band debate. I'm like, no, this one needs to make it. No, I don't know. Back and forth until we all kind of were like, yeah, just because we put a pause on it doesn't mean it goes away forever. But we all just said, admitted to ourselves that it just didn't flow with the other songs, and And it's hard to do that when you're working on it. Like in the middle of it, you know, you find things you like. It's not like it was a bad song, we didn't like it. It's just it was in the heat of the moment. You're like, "Oh man, this is great. This is great. This is great." And then you hear the other songs, you put trying to put them in the track order, and you're like, "Oh man, maybe this just doesn't fit." And it's tough to make that call, but you know, sometimes you got to do tough shit.
But I feel when you're, like, assembling a record, it's like a giant puzzle, and then when it all makes sense, like, and it fits, it's gonna come together as a collective, right? Where it's like, they might not be bad songs, but they might not just be, they might just not be the, correct puzzle pieces for this puzzle.
Absolutely. That's the tough thing about pulling the trigger on the final product. But yeah, I think that's going back to the last question, 2 questions ago. I think that's definitely what we learned the most off of our prior records was knowing when to go. We enjoy it, we love it, but we don't think it's ready, or we don't think it's the right time, or it's just it doesn't have the shining, I don't know, the shining moment or the shining star of the track list. So maybe we need to put a pin in it. So it's definitely something that we learned over time.
Do like music consumption habits factor into like the creative process at all? I hate to dumb it down to that, but it's like, people's attention spans are shorter and shorter, and it's like every Friday they're getting pinged with new releases of, 20 new records that came out in hard rock and metal.
Totally. I think it's not a major factor, but it is something we talk about, you know, like especially with the rollout when now we have 10 songs and we have, you know, we want to start putting out singles, and the argument of like, do we put out 3 or 4 singles and then the record? Do we put out one? How many months are in between? Because you want to have enough time for the song to live and breathe and people to get excited for it. You want it to be out long enough for people to stumble on it and go check out, oh, they got new music coming, oh, it's coming out this month. But you don't want it to have it so short that it's like boom, 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 oh, the record's out, oh, okay, I didn't really get to really live in it. Yeah, so it's a tough balance, and I don't think there's a right answer. You know, I don't think there's a blanket answer for every band and every genre, but for us, I think it's always course correcting the last thing we did, you know? So whatever we did last record, we looked and what worked, what didn't. All right, that was 3 years ago. How do we take that information and make the best decisions with our release this time around? But yeah, that is a small part of the conversation. You know, it's everyone's got TikTok brain. You know, you got 15 seconds to get their attention. If they don't want it, they're gone, you know.
Oh, that's crazy, yeah. Well, and circling back to what you said is like taking the good elements and building up on it for the future. It's like iron sharpens iron, right? So if you're
Yeah.
taking the sharpest points and refining them, you're gonna come up with something much stronger in the end.
Yeah, I'd love to think so.
And I do think, circling back to what I said in the beginning, I do think that when you listen to this record as like a cohesive record, it does kind of take you on a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows. There's moments that drop down and then bring you back up. It's a really cool record, and I respect the fact that listening to it as a cohesive record, an album, is I think is the real way to listen to this thing. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into the track list, and it's just like a set list. You want to build, build intensity. You want to find the right moment to drop it down. You got to find the way to bring them back in, and how you end it or where you're going to end it is just as important. So that's one of my favorite things to do in the process is while the songs are coming along, kind of just living with them, like, okay, could this be the first song, could be this be the end, the album closer, is this like, should this be butt to butt with this song, and what if this song kind of transitions into this one, and it's a fun little it's like a fun little mini game while we're working on the record. But yeah, I do take pride, and I know we all do take pride in the whole experience of the record.
Outside the band, you've got your sort of side project, I guess, Black Vault Gaming. What can you tell us about that, and how does it fit in alongside I Prevail?
Yeah, with some friends back here in Metro Detroit, I opened a trading card shop called Black Vault Gaming, and I've been I've been obsessed with during COVID. Friends taught me how to play Magic the Gathering, and I mean, not being able to do anything but have a few friends over and play cards and drink whiskey got me through like the worst of it. So I found a passion and love in that, and then some other other trading card games, and made some good friends, really good friends in this community, and it's crazy going on tour and then coming to find out like this band and this band and this band, like half the band play, and to be able to go on tour. And I mean, you say we toured for 6 weeks, maybe 3 months back to back, and you start missing home, and you start feeling like a a robot just going through the motions of getting off the bus, going to the green room, playing the show, going to the next city. To have something like anything, whether like I collect records as well. So like having something to feel normal, to go to the card shop, to go to the record store, to go get coffee, to play cards with friends while I'm on the road, definitely helps make me feel like a normal person. But yeah, the community in this trading card world it's awesome, and it's funny to see there's a lot of metalheads and nerds, that the Venn diagram is just basically one big circle.
I think those especially the metal world, like there's crossover with horror, there's crossover with comics, there's crossover with
Yes.
gaming, and I feel there's a family aspect that's common amongst all of them, right? Where it's like a community of people coming together over something that they just truly love and they're passionate about.
Absolutely. That's the best way to describe it, man. Like we'll have events up at our store, and I walk in there, and if I'm not on tour, I walk in and I see a handful of people I've seen, met a couple times, or maybe haven't seen in a few years, and now they're at our shop playing, and seeing those friends intermingle with the other friends, and playing in these tournaments and events. And I can just pop up there, it's just down the street from my house. So I just pop up there in the afternoon, and Sue's up there. If there's an empty chair to hop in and play in a, just drop in and play in a game and make friends that way. And I could be having a shit day, and I tell the fiance, I'm like, I just need to go. I need to go play with some cardboard. But I go up to the shop, and it's that sense of community, man. It's easy way. It's a great way to take your mind off things, and yeah, like I said, the community is just awesome. I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Don't tell Post Malone that it's cardboard because he just spent $2 million on that Magic the Gathering game.
I saw that. I actually met him at a restaurant a few months back, and it was right before the shop opened. Otherwise, I would have plugged it. I've been like, "Hey, I'll hook you up, dude."
You didn't get into it with him about Magic?
No, I think we ended up talking Lions and football, and talking about some metal bands for a moment. But it was brief. But he's a sweetheart. So hopefully, I get to see him at a table and sling some cardboard with him.
That's cool. You see, circling back though, you see guys like Spencer from Ice Nine Kills is like doing his own con circuit. He's got, I think he just announced a Silver Scream Con in the UK. He's been having it going for a couple years in like the Boston area. Like, is there ever a day we see like a I Prevail Con?
Oh man, that that'd be sick. Yeah, I'm sure we could figure something out. We're doing this album release show here at the Crowfoot, and in one of the rooms we got a little last minute thrown together museum of like just random stuff over the last 10 years. And now that I was pulling all the stuff out of my, because I obviously with trading cards, I'm a collector, so like every all these venues that we were on the first tour, I would rip our poster off the wall, laminates, like all the little odds and ends things. But like, I got some of our, stage outfits from music videos. I'm like, what am I ever gonna do with this stuff? And I don't know. Maybe we do some kind of con and have this whole, have a big event and be able to display all this random shit.
That's cool though. Somebody's got to document it. So like,
Yeah.
it may seem just like clutter to you, but like I guarantee there's a ton of people out there that would love that sort of stuff. Just getting to see it and take it all in and sort of go over the journey of your career.
I think it stems from me being a fanboy of like just being a kid growing up, just fan of metal and ticket stubs, vinyl. I've like well over 600 records in the last 15 years. Just I love collecting and having these little mementos from things in the past that, like, I don't know, you pick it up and an old ticket stub and you can barely read it anymore. I'm like, damn, I remember picking this up at the venue because there was no online ticket master. You had to go to the venue and buy the ticket. Like, I remember picking this up, things like that. It takes you back. So I think it all stems from my my collecting obsession.
I collect stubs as well, and I'm bummed that you can't get stubs anymore. You got to have one stub in your collection where you're like, this is your shining, number one trophy.
I think mine might be my first metal concert, and it was Carnifex and Despised Icon at the Hayloft in Mount Clemens.
Oh
I
wow.
Yeah, I think that thing's damn near rubbed off from it being in my sweaty pocket all night, but it's in my box somewhere among all the other boxes, and maybe next time we move, I'll bust it all out and have to make a a little display of all that shit that's just tucked away for now. But yeah, that's probably the one, man. I remember going to that show and just having my mind blown, and that's like, I've listened to metal, but seeing your first metal concert is a whole different experience, especially when it's like 400 people, sweaty, gross, beer soaked floor. It's I don't know. It changed changed the chemistry in my brain.
And seeing those bands, they're all killers live, right? So
Oh yeah.
seeing them in their prime is like, yeah, that would be an amazing show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So to wrap things up, then, fans often say that I Prevail's music sort of it helps them out and helps them during their lowest moments. Is there a track on Violent Nature that you think will resonate with them in the same sort of cathartic way?
Oh man. Yeah, that's yeah, that's tough because I do think there's some songs that specifically helped me by just getting it off my chest and writing it and living in the moment of revisiting those memories and stuff. So there's some songs on there that definitely do something for me. Um, if if I just had to pick one, I think Pray might be the one that is it's not super specific on, it's not like a breakup song where you had to have gone through a bad breakup to relate to it, but it is about some interpersonal conflict and kind of having someone that just that burns you and then has the audacity to look back at you with pity. Like, I don't need your pity, and I don't need pity from you. I'm better off on my own, so leave. And um hopefully it's a shame when people say that they relate to it, because it's like, damn, well, I'm really sorry that you went through something like that, but hopefully this is, you relate in a good way, that this is like freeing, or this is somewhat cathartic, or you find growth in it, or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's such a crazy thing to think that, like, how lucky I am to have taken out of music when I was younger, when I needed that, and I was able to take something out and find um, something to relate to in, these painful lyrics, and that I wasn't able just to take. Now I'm able to give in any facet. I'm just truly truly lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
Well, and I feel it, like metal and the hard rock in general is like an outlet for those thoughts and feelings. Like, if you didn't have that, then you'd probably be some sort of psychopath, right? So
True, very true.
it's definitely healing, and I can definitely say, like, if you when you hear the record, you feel like I Prevail's stronger coming out of this. So I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for people to hear this record. So
Well, thank you so much for the kind words, man. Thank you, and thank you for your time. Thanks for having me, and
yeah,
anyone
no problem.
listening, thank you for the opportunity for us to invade your ears for the, however many minutes the record is. It means the world. So thank you all, and thank you guys.